Okay, so continuing with the review for the college algebra exam, we're under quadratic functions, and the second question says to find a quadratic function f of x with a y-intercept at 7 and a vertex located at -3, 5. So again, with these questions, it's really two steps because initially you have to find a. Remember, the formula for a quadratic is f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k, where h and k are your vertex. So h here is -3 and k is 5. But I need to find a, and to find a, I can use the other point that I've been given. Now, again, you may not recognize it, but remember the y-intercept can be written as an ordered pair. We would have an x value of 0 and a y value of 7. So we do have the ordered pair. So plugging into the formula, I'm going to find a. So I have 7 equals a times 0 minus a -3 makes +3 squared plus 5. And I'm going to do the math to solve for a. So I'm going to subtract 5 from either side. So I have 7 minus 5 is 2 equals a. And I'm going to go ahead. 0 plus 3 is 3. And 3 squared is 9. So that's really 9a. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 9. So I find that a is positive 2/9. So with the vertex that I'm given and the formula, plugging in, my equation would be f of x equals 2/9 times x minus a -3 makes +3 squared plus 5. And there's the equation. It's two steps. You have to find the a, which is your average rate of change, similar to the idea of slope, and then you substitute that value and the vertex into the formula. Again, the formula is given at the beginning of the test. Okay, so here's the supplemental question related to quadratic functions. Find a quadratic function f of x with a vertex located at 2, -3 and passing through the point 0, 7. So again, remember our equation has the form f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k. And we know the vertex is 2, -3. So in this case, h is 2 and k is -3. I need to find a using the vertex and the point that I was given. So I have the point 0, 7. So I have 7 equals a times 0 minus 2 plus -3. Okay, so then I'm going to try to solve that for a. So I have 7 equals a. I have 0 minus 2, which is -2. -2 squared. -2 times -2 is +4 minus 3. Then I need to isolate the a. So I'm going to add 3 to either side, which gives me 10 equals a times 4. I'm going to undo the multiplication by 4. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. So I have a equals 10 fourths, which will simplify to 5 halves. So using the value for a and the vertex that I was given and substituting back into the original formula, I have f of x equals 5 halves times x minus 2 squared minus 3. And there's your equation of the quadratic. Okay, I'm going to skip rational functions for now, and if we have time, or if I have time, we'll come back to it at the end of the review. But it's a pretty safe bet that if I'm skipping it, it's probably not any questions on the final related to a rational function. And so then we go into polynomial division. And the first question says determine the quotient and the remainder when dividing. It does not specify which method you have to use. Remember, there's two methods to do division. You can use the long division method, or you can use synthetic division. But you can only use synthetic division if the divisor is what we call linear. In other words, it doesn't have an exponent on the x. And so I notice in this problem, my divisor, which is x minus 2, is linear. So I'm going to use synthetic division for this particular problem. I need to solve my divisor, x minus 2, set it to 0, and solve for x. So I'm actually going to divide by a value of positive 2. So I have positive 2, which will go in my box, and then I have to list the coefficients of the polynomial. But be careful, because we have 1x cubed, no 0x squared, minus 5x plus 8. Make sure that if you're going to do the long division or synthetic division, guys, you got to put this placeholder in there. If you don't put that placeholder in there, you will get the wrong answer every time. Okay, so we're going to draw our equal bar. Okay, drop the 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 8 plus negative 2 is 6. Okay, so that gives us the coefficients of our quotient as well as the remainder. So the answer would be 1x squared plus 2x minus 1 plus 6, which is the remainder, over x minus 2. The supplemental question is very similar. It says, but all it wants you to do is find the remainder. So be careful when you're taking the exam. Make sure you read the question carefully. All you need to give here is the remainder. Again, I notice that my divisor is linear, so I can use synthetic division. I'm going to solve x minus 5 for 0. I'm going to add 5 to either side. So x is 5, which will become my divisor. Then I list out the coefficients of the dividend. Okay, so I have 1x cubed minus 4x squared minus 7x plus 4. In this particular problem, I didn't have to fill in with a placeholder of 0 because I didn't have any missing terms. Okay, we drop the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus negative 4 is positive 1. 5 times 1 is 5. Negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10, plus 4 is negative 6. Okay, remember the question said, what is the remainder? The remainder is this value in the last position. So the answer to my question is negative 6. The remainder is negative 6. Okay, we'll get into logarithms in the next video.